Welcome to Your Music Saved Us, where two friends blast ourselves into the past to relive and recontextualize the alternative Christian music we grew up listening to in the 1990s. My name is Clifton, and I am not haunted by my past sins. I said I am not haunted by them. And joining me is the unfortunate soul who's been tasked with weighing out every last ounce of both good and bad. Jay, did you take my past sins out of my closet? You know, I know you're supposed to weigh them, but I keep them in there for a reason.
I felt like we maybe need to pull them out today, Clifton, and talk about them a little bit.
That's fair. We can poke at them. Okay. What are we listening to, Jay?
We are listening to Hokus Pick's 1994 album, which is sort of I guess their sophomore album, technically. Brothers from Different Mothers.
And why did you make us do this?
Says the man who made us listen to Frito Boat last week. It was on my list. I remember listening to this back in the day. I definitely had not listened to it since then, and I thought, why not?
Fair. Okay. And if all the boys and girls want to find it, is it easy to find out there?
Yeah, it is on Spotify. There is one album of theirs is not on Spotify. I'm not exactly sure why.
Weird. Yeah.
But this one is.
Okay, cool. Was this played in your youth group?
I'm hesitating. It could have been.
Yeah.
I don't specifically remember it, but this was definitely played in youth groups some places.
Yeah.
For sure.
Like
especially
it's not
a couple of the songs.
It's not that different than like Newsboys in some ways.
Yeah, and I'm glad you said that because I want to come back to that at some point in this. But
Me too.
Yes, probably played in youth group.
All right. Before we get too far into things, I want to remind everyone to please visit patreon.com/YMSU to contribute and get extended episodes. You can find other things there as well. Episodes of Your Music Damned Us, where Jay and I go over secular music that destroyed our faith in Jesus, and that's why we no longer believe in him.
If only it was that simple.
And a few other things like that. Thanks for those of you who do contribute. You mean a lot to us. And yeah. Jay, why don't you tell us a little bit about Hokus Pick?
Well, Clifton, is this our first Canadian artist? I should have looked back. I think it might be.
Might be. I don't know.
I'll have to go back and check. I can't think of another one we've done.
No.
Anyway, well, what I'm about to read you is from the Encyclopedia of Christian Music by Mark Allen Powell. So, quote, I'm talking about Hokus Pick, quote, the group came together in Vancouver, British Columbia in 1989, when Rick Colquhoun, Matt Perrault, and Smith, which he means Russ Smith, decided to form a Christian band. They wanted to include Dave Strilchuk, but he wasn't a believer. So they took him to camp, prayed for him, and according to Perrault, quote, voila, 2 weeks later he became a Christian and we had a band. I'm still reading from the encyclopedia. The group played churches and coffee houses and recorded regional albums. The big break came when Steve Taylor invited them to open his now famous Squinter National Tour in 1994. The name Hokus Pick derives from a Canadian expression for surprise, similar to the American holy cow. The band was originally called Hokus Pick Maneuver, but shortened the moniker after their first two releases. And just to give you a little bit more, this is from the archived version of their website, way back from like 1998. Quote, Hokus Pick is what you would say if a stranger suddenly gave you a bouquet of flowers. This band, named after a term of surprise, is driven by the calling to make the best music possible while expressing truth and a loving God. Motivated to be the best they can, and a devotion to seeing the will of God is their constant commitment. End quote. So just to clarify, in case it's not clear, Hokus Pick is Russ Smith, vocals and guitar, Matt Perot, guitar, Rick Colhoun, drums, and Dave Strilchuk, bass. Hokus Pick was originally called Hokus Pick Maneuver, and they put out a couple of demos in 1988. I keep wanting to say 90s. They got signed to Word Canada and released Pick It Up in 1992, and in 1993, yeah, Pick It Up. No. In 1993, they released The Independence on Word Canada, which was a compilation of songs off both their demos. So Brothers from Different Mothers is their proper sophomore full-length and came out in 1994 on Vision Artists in the U.S.
Which was around the time they were touring with Steve Taylor.
Yeah, I think this actually came out at the end of 94. They did the Steve Taylor tour earlier in 94, and then this came out at the end.
Okay. Cool. Well, all right, Jay, how did you find Hokus Pick? Was it just sitting there on the shelf calling out to you?
Well, Clifton, since about 91 or 92, I had a subscription to CCM magazine, Contemporary Christian Music. And as a young lad who was hoping to get more into alternative music at the time, I was looking for anything that seemed a bit edgier. And,
And we all know that CCM magazine is where you go.
It is definitely not,
stuff.
But when you are a young kid, and as we've talked about many times, living somewhere that doesn't have a lot of exposure to a lot of things, it's what you had. And I'm not sure I saw this in CCM, but I definitely could have. And, I was just looking for something alternative, and this kind of looked the part when you look at the cover. I mean, the one dude looks like Pauly Shore. It's kind of early 90s. You could look at the cover art and tell, okay, this is probably some kind of
this cover
alternative thing.
You sure you're not thinking about For Him?
Early 90s, Clifton. Early 90s. Look, they had like it was written kind of cool, the Hocus Pick thing.
I guess so.
I mean, Now, I quickly moved past this because I discovered other earlier things or things came out time. Sure. Like even actually like Steve Taylor, but also like Poor Old Blue and some other bands that had releases around this time that I kind of stayed with. But
yeah,
I did pick this up back in the day.
All right. And did you listen to it?
Yeah. Although I think I moved on from it fairly quickly. When I went back to it this time, some of the songs were familiar, but none of them I was able to like instantly sing along with. Like some of these we go back and you're like, oh shit, I know all these words. This was not one of those. I was like, oh, I kind of remember this melody. Okay, yeah. But clearly it's been a while since I've listened to it.
All right, so it didn't play a big role in your life.
No. Well, let's say it was a gateway album to better things.
I love it. Love gateway albums. Were there any like tracks that stood out to you that you kind of remember from back then?
I remember a little bit of Safe Assumption. That song, I think that actually was a little bit off the single off this album as well, which is kind of funny because it's not a great song.
No.
I think I even did remember a little bit of Love Stuff as well. And also, for sure, I believe because, well, I'm sure you had some asshole wearing sandals that probably played that on the acoustic guitar at a summer camp somewhere. I'm pretty sure I've heard people do that. So,
if they did, I wouldn't have recognized it, I guess. Yeah.
Yeah. So anyway, so a few things were recognizable, but nothing, came immediately back to me.
And I assume you haven't listened to it over the years. So what did
Absolutely not.
What did you think you were getting us back into? Did you know how bad it was?
It's funny that you're saying that because actually I was a little bit. So I first put this on, and it's the first song that we're not going to do on this, but it has kind of a long. It's a little bit of silence before it comes on. I was a little bit like, wait, did I push play? But then it came on, and I was like, this is actually not terrible. And I will say after the last two albums, both of them having some complaints about production quality, I was like, well, this at least sounds good. Like I was actually pretty surprised how good this sound. Yeah. Yes. Like that was a surprise for me. I was like, this sounds really good. So I don't know. It sounds like I didn't hate it as much as you did. Don't get me wrong. I don't love it. I'm not going to listen to it again after this, but it was fine. It had good production. Okay. some of the songs are pretty listenable. There's a few, especially a couple we skipped, that are really bad.
Yes.
You know.
I have complex feelings.
Okay.
About it. I mean, they're mostly not on the positive side, but you know.
That's fine. I mean, I'm don't worry. I'm not going to spend a ton of time praising it, but I guess in some ways I was expecting it to be pretty bad, and it wasn't as bad as I thought.
That's fair. I mean, like the musicianship is fine.
Yeah.
Production's good. They play their instruments. They actually are songs. There's nothing like technical to complain about here. No.
Yeah, and you brought up Newsboys, and I want to follow that thread a little bit more later too, but like unlike some of those bands we talk about that were bigger, Newsboys, Audio Adrenaline, DC Talk is not as much this formula, but like it's all the same four guys the whole time. It's Hokus Pick.
Yeah.
Like,
true.
Got to give them credit for that. It's not like something where they just switch out members all the time like those groups. And Hokus Pick seems to write all their own music, play all their instruments.
They are the Van Halen of early 90s Christian music.
So, you know, I mean, at least they got that.
That is very fair.
It's a low bar, but you know.
Well, all right. Why don't we get started? We're going to begin with track 2, Brothers. Yeah.
So the album is called Brothers from Different Mothers, and it's not any more clever than that. The song is called Brothers, and it's going to be on that theme. Surprise, surprise. And it just kind of starts with an electric guitar, but it's got a real pretty distinctive beat. I guess I was trying to think about how to describe that in my notes. Mm-hmm. I know we're about to play it, but it's just, yeah.
I called it boring, jangly guitar.
Boring, jangly guitar. There you go, everybody.
Be wondering just who we are. What do we stand for? And what do we believe? Out of curiosity. Wow. 4 different stories from our younger days. Each had his own point. Some were far, some were near. But ask us now.
Now, right there, y'all, I was bobbing my head along.
He was.
Clifton was not, I will say. Not. So, I mean, you know, it's catchy.
This is where my complicated feelings with this come in, because I don't dislike, in some ways, the style of what's going on here, but it feels very robotic.
Okay.
Yeah. My notes at the end of this song are, this sounds a lot like music, but I'm not convinced it is music.
I also wonder if that's actually maybe part of the production being too good.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like, again, this sounds great, I think.
And that's one of the things I kept thinking about this as I was listening to it is these guys seem more put together musically. Not like professionally, but musically than the Newsboys. And that might be bad for them because some of the things that make the Newsboys good from time to time is their insane takes. And I mean musically insane, like not even the lyrical stuff. Just like the Newsboys are not very good at what they do. And so they just end up with weird shit sometimes. And sometimes that works.
Mm-hmm. But
if you know what you're doing, sometimes you don't take those risks. And you end up with something robotic.
Well, to respond, actually, I'm not really responding to that. I will say a thought I had when I was listening to this, so overall, is like, how come these guys never really got as big as like Newsboys, Audio Adrenaline?
It's a great question.
Yeah. So we'll keep that in mind as we go through this album. We're not doing their other albums. They had, well, I'll get to that at the end. To jump back to this song, because I could go down the Newsboys
thread
forever. You could hear his vocals come in. I know we'll get to the lyrics in a minute, but you could tell he said, "You may be wondering just who we are." What? It's like, no,
Nope.
nobody's wondering that, man. I don't know if you guys heard it. There's a little like well before the second part of the first verse right there, which is kind of fun. There's a lot of little things like that throughout this album. A lot of weird little background vocal effects. A lot of different things. I think, again, just because they seem to have a ton of money behind this for the production. So there's just layers of stuff I don't think you would normally get.
Also, they're just goofy guys, Jay. These are just goofy guys.
They
Come
are
on,
just,
they're goofy
that
guys.
seems to be their persona. Just goofy dudes.
Just funny Canadian hockey guys. Come on.
Yeah. We're about to get to the chorus. The chorus is... I wrote down this is very youth group friendly. Very poppy, both with the sound and the lyrics. I do kind of like the background vocals they've got going on here, Clifton.
Yeah.
It's kind of fun. And then when you get to the second, when you get to the chorus, like the next time they do the chorus, the second time, they've got even another little effect in there, which is, again, kind of fun. I don't know why I feel like I need to defend this album. I don't,
do we want to just jump straight to the second chorus?
Yeah, because I guess it has both of them. So listen to the little background stuff we got going on here. It's kind of fun.
Yeah, I believe in the Father. I believe in the Son. I know He's a Redeemer that we've been waiting for to come. And if He came here to save me, I know He came here for you. You asked me what I was thinking. Well, I think Jesus, He loves you.
I mean, it's interesting because, once again, I don't mind the style that's going on, but it just feels like it has no soul to me. Am I missing something here?
No.
Okay.
No, I could see that. Yeah.
There's no joy. And look, as someone who has tried to record music in the past, it's easy to get caught up in like, okay, let's get this take right, and like stuff like that, and lose the passion that's in your music. Which is why you hear a lot of times like producers come to punk bands and be like, I want to get their live sound, the raw, stuff like that, because it's easy to miss the joy in something when you.
That is true. This doesn't have a lot of passion in it. I don't know. I feel like it still maybe has joy occasionally, but the passion is definitely not there. This is very polished, very, yeah. We skipped over one little part I wanted to play just because I thought this was fun. If my fault, I should have mentioned it. At about 105, we get where they reference their own bio in the song, which I thought was just kind of funny.
A lot of Hokus history. One knew him early and the rest did not. We kept on searching and then we learned how to pray.
We'll come back to the lyrics there later. Okay.
Yeah, but how often do you get a band talking about their own bio in a song? Kind of fun. I think the last part that I thought was kind of fun was as the bridge. I think you're about to play it. Yeah, when it shifts in and you've got some nice little background vocals going on here.
And it seems, I don't know. Once again, I feel like I should like this, but there's just something not hitting for me. It's not charming.
Yeah. And I will say, now that we're going back through it for this, I'm kind of thinking in my head, this may be the best song on the album, actually. We'll see. I don't know. Maybe I'll have a different opinion by the time we get done, but
Jay, did you catch the secret encoded message in the song?
Oh shit, no.
At 3 minutes and 16 seconds, 3:16, it says, Jesus loves me, this I know.
Oh, Jesus loves me, this I know.
I mean, I heard that, but I didn't know it was at 3:16. So, good catch.
I know you got to really put in the work to find these kind of things. So, yeah. My first time after listening to the album through in full before you pick songs, and I had to listen to the full album, Jay, because you didn't pick songs early enough, so that I didn't have to listen to the full album. I literally was like, maybe all music is shit. Like, maybe there's no passion. Like, maybe I've just been deluding myself my entire life. But then I went and listened to, like, The Promise Ring, and I was like, oh no, this is good. Like,
and again, I feel like I'm having to defend this album, and I shouldn't. But there's a few real stinkers on here too.
Yeah. You know, and I'm just saying that I feel like the guys are writing songs because it's their job to write songs, and they're writing Christian lyrics because it's their job to write Christian lyrics. And I don't know. That's where I
think you're right on that. In fact, I have a data point to back that up on a song coming up later. But yeah, for sure.
Okay. Well, let's listen to these AI created Christian lyrics here.
You want me to read them?
Go for it.
You may be wondering just who we are. What do we stand for and what do we believe? Out of curiosity. 4 different stories from our younger days, each at his own point. Some were far, some were near. But ask us now and you'll hear. I believe in the Father. I believe in the Son. No, he's the Redeemer that we've been waiting for to come. One knew him early and the rest did not. We kept on searching and then we learned how to pray. That's why we're brothers today. So if you're asking about our views, I'll tell you one thing. It is still your right to choose. But as for us, we believe. And then I'll read the chorus one more time. I believe in the Father, I believe in the Son. I know he's the Redeemer that we've been waiting for to come. And if he came here to save me, I know he came here for you. You asked me what I was thinking. Well, I think Jesus, he loves you.
All right.
So there's another song we're going to cover on here too that is basically like the chorus is kind of like their creed or something. Like, yeah. I believe in the Father, I believe in the Son, I know he's the Redeemer. So it's yeah. We also know comparison. That they are not Calvinist because they do say it is your right to choose on here. So I think we kind of have more of Arminianist theology in this album, in case anyone cares.
Or maybe he was just saying, hey, we haven't taken over the government yet, but we will eventually. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah.
This song really doesn't say anything, honestly.
Nope. These are Jake, these are 4 guys who haven't always loved Jesus, but they do now.
Yep.
In the second verse, it says, one knew him early and the rest did not. I thought you said that 3 of them are Christians and then the other one came later.
You're right, but I'm guessing maybe one of the Christians was a Christian even earlier.
Like it's a child?
Yeah.
Wow. Man, that's the real deal.
Uh-huh.
That's how you know. Yeah. And we kept on searching and then we learned how to pray. Well, shit. Man, okay. That's all it takes. Learn how to pray.
Yeah. And that's why we're brothers today.
Cool. It does end with Jesus loves you, and I get my first thought with the end of the song was just, does the Bible say anywhere that Jesus loves you? And then it did some research, Jay, and it turned out it doesn't.
Okay, interesting.
Yeah.
So wait, Jesus never anywhere in the Bible says, I love you?
Correct. He tells his 12 disciples in the room or something like that, I love you. or I have loved you. But he doesn't say like he loves the world or anything like that. He doesn't really say he loves people, nothing like that.
That's a great point because we always focus on John 3:16.
For God so loved the world.
Yeah. Huh. Okay.
Yeah.
Interesting. All right.
And if you're a true Trinitarian, then you believe that even though the Father and the Son are one, they are different persons, and so that they can each have their own choices about who they love, I guess, so... Yeah.
There you go.
Okay, cool. Let's move on to track 4, The Finer Side.
We are skipping track 3 on my own, and you should be glad because it really sucks. So we are playing on my own. This one, Clifton, I didn't know how to describe this sound. It's upbeat, and I said almost like rockabilly. Am I getting too crazy when I use that description?
I don't think that's wrong either. I said weird carnival music, but that's also wrong, but not all the way wrong.
Yeah. Okay. I mean,
Yeah.
I wouldn't mistake this necessarily for like rock. Don't get me wrong,
No.
but I just like I didn't know what else to call it.
Yeah, fair.
This starts straight full band.
Head TV man, what have you got in your latest offer? What kind of things can you give me for free? Because at times when I feel small and insecure, and you promise to bring out the best in me, but can you...
Clifton was shaking his head, by the way, y'all.
Yeah.
He was kind of into it.
No, what I was doing was better. Okay.
Yeah, you could hear it's a da-da-da-da-da-da-da. It's just kind of, it's a little bit fun, little boppy there. We're about to get into the chorus. But yeah, I don't know. I don't have too much else to say.
That's not a very interesting song. Let's keep playing it.
All right.
But can you reach the deeper side of me? And what I really need, it really would be nice to see the finer side of life. I see it all in commercials.
Yeah, I'm glad you played that part. That was in my notes. Thank you. Yeah, this song, I more wanted to touch on the lyrics in a minute. It's not like amazing. I do think when it slows down for the bridge a little bit, I swear to God, the guitar tone sounds like Aerosmith's Sweet Emotion.
Well, let's listen to that. Definitely.
Right here.
Look around, you can see it. All the promises pleasure provides. Simply us, advertising. On our feet, I come tumbling down. To life.
Yeah, there's like the first part, like where it had slow down guitar, it had like a phaser type thing going on there. I can see that.
Yeah, definitely. I mean, that bridge is kind of fun. I like how it speeds up at the end. I like a little bit of that guitar. It's fine. We had some vocal effects.
It's true. They rely on this almost like lo-fi vocal effect for the bridge thing heavily on this album, actually.
Right.
Wonder where they're picking that influence up from.
Yeah, I think that was kind of the time as well, right?
Yeah.
I'm trying to...
Well, I mean, I think it was the late 80s, but, it's Christianity. So.
Yeah, it's always behind. Yeah, true.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't have too much else to say about this musically. You can play more if you want. You also don't have to.
I think, when I liked that one song, Underwater, by Switchfoot, and you said it had a really annoying rhythm guitar, this is my version of that.
Okay.
Yeah. And it could be good, but it's almost like they're just too obsessed with it being like, like they're just like, I don't know, they're just freaking out trying to get it too right. Anyways, that's it.
Well, should we cover the lyrics?
Sure. Hey TV man, what have you got in your latest offer? What kind of things can you give me for free? Because at time, well, I feel small and insecure, and you promise to bring out the best in me. But can you reach the deeper side of me and what I really need? It really would be nice to see the finer side of life. Or the finer side of life. I see it all in commercials, videos, and shows. But I must admit, it starts to pull on me because your campaign, it invades the needy part inside, and you've conditioned it to want the things I see. Look around. You can see it. All the promises pleasure provides. Simply false advertising. On my feet, I come tumbling back to life. Is it all like it seems? And tell me, who is Mr. Clean? I'm not looking for some easy, quick solution because your promises fade unpaid when the TV set goes off.
Okay, so TV can't give you what you're looking for. Only God can.
Yeah, TV and commercials.
Yeah, I mean, I did like the little reference to Mr. Clean. That did make me chuckle slightly.
Because Mr. Clean was a promotional powerhouse of the early 90s. He was everywhere.
True. I want to talk more about this song when I talk about the next song.
Okay.
The lyrics on this, unless you have anything else to say about these lyrics.
I do find they're a little bit confusing to me because, I mean, it's very clear what he's saying. Like, okay, TV promises me all these things, but it can't deliver on them, whether it's through advertising or whatnot.
Right.
But the chorus is, but can you reach the deeper side of me and what I really need? It really would be nice to see the finer side of life. Is he saying that the finer side of life is what he really needs? Or is he changing the equation here and saying the finer side of life is what he really needs is equal to the finer side of life, in the sense that, like, he's going to redefine what the finer side of life is to being a full-fledged person?
I don't understand your question.
Yeah, I know. Okay. Is he saying that he wants to live a nice, pretty life, with all the amenities, or is he saying that the finer side of life is what deep down he desires, like his deep down desires of being loved and being accepted and all those kind of things? That's the finer side of life.
Okay, I see what you mean. Now you're making me wonder, because I initially took it as that, as like the deeper meaning to life. That's what I'm looking for. Right. But
because he's almost shitting on wanting the finer side of life, but he's almost also at the same time redefining it at the same time, and so he's shitting on what he's redefining.
Yeah, because part of me is wondering now, looking at it, like, was he saying also, like, when I see all this stuff in commercials, that looks like the finer side of life, and that's that's what I wanted. But yeah, I don't know.
Like, I can kind of see what they're doing, but it needed a little more finesse. Yeah, in the lyrics, I think. Yeah. All right, that's all we're doing here.
Yeah, man, we're flying through it. See, you were like, going. "Oh God, we have to do 6 songs," and see, I'm making it, speedy.
All right, let's see if we can get through this whole album in 5 more minutes.
It's not going to happen.
No. All right, we're moving on to the track number 5, "Safe Assumption." Safe Assumption. I think that's what it's based on.
No. According to the Encyclopedia of Christian Music, this was the single for the album, and it made it to number 20 in the Christian charts in 1994.
Who is their audience?
Yeah, I don't know. This song is a weird vibe. It's slower. It's kind of jazzy. The drums start played like on the side of the snare, the beat's really carried with the bass. It's just, musically, it's real boring.
It is.
Yeah.
I call the opening some weird REM acoustic guitar shit, but it doesn't keep up the REM stuff very long. I don't know.
Mm-mm. It's like bad jazz or something. I don't know.
True.
week of meditation and the clearing of the mind, reaching deep within yourself for the peace that you will find, a search within your own heart for that tranquility. It can be such a downfall when you learn it's not reality. I'd say it's a safe
Yeah,
place.
it's definitely a different vibe, right?
Yeah. I mean, I guess if you're aiming, for some Michael W. Smith stuff, I guess this is fine. But the previous part of the album has been very kind of early 90s jangle poppy kind of stuff.
Yeah, we skipped one other slower song, but yeah. That is one definitely criticism of this is it kind of hops around a little bit.
Yeah.
On styles, yeah.
Yeah, like when I was listening to this for the first time all the way through, your comment on the last episode of not liking it when bands have a hardcore song and then they have this song and that song, and I was like, here's their this song,
Definitely. Yeah, they definitely are doing that.
Yeah.
This is fine. You're about to play the chorus, which is weird to me because I was like, is this even a chorus? Because it really just flows right from the verse.
It's funny because when I was originally taking notes, I had gone verse 1, pre-chorus. Oh shit, the chorus never happened.
Yeah, right? It just kind of, it's basically just the end of the verse each time. I don't know.
And it feels like a pre-chorus because it feels like it's building up to something, but it's not.
Yeah. It's interesting that this was a single, but here we go.
I'd say it's a safer assumption that we all want to believe in ourselves, but then we look at human nature. Is a bad outweigh the good in these modern virtues? Well, it's a safe assumption that we need something more.
Did you
What was that?
Yeah, one of those things, yeah. It's either one of those little egg shakers or one of those rubby things, yeah.
Little sandpaper things.
Yeah.
They also have later...
a wood block, yeah.
Yeah. I couldn't remember that thing's called, but where you drag the little stick over the ridges. Like, yeah.
Yeah.
So we get some fun percussion.
Which is good, because I literally screamed, do something different!
Yeah. This song drags, for sure. And it kind of stays the same pace the whole time. It's just got this. I don't know. It's not a great one.
Yes, but it was the single for some reason.
I know. Really bizarre, right?
It's a safe assumption that we need something more. I'd say it's a safe assumption.
Oh, I thought Kenny G was going to come in there with his little solo or something.
The bridge, makes me think that you just played makes me think of like a 60s lounge with like cocktail waitresses coming around dropping off drinks or something. Like it's
soft
just,
jazz.
Yeah. It's very, I don't know, very different vibe.
Yeah. You know, the other thought I had while listening to this album was that all the people in the world that you meet who say things like, I don't know, music just doesn't do much for me. I feel like someone told them to listen to an album like this and they were like, ugh, gross.
Yeah.
And they just moved on with their life.
That's a great point, because this is definitely one of those things where it's just like, meh.
Yeah.
It's fine.
Like the music is fine, but it doesn't make me feel anything. None of it makes me feel anything.
Right. Yeah.
All right. It gets more repetitive from this part for the rest of the song. Let's not play it.
It's fine. Yeah, there's a couple of these songs way too long.
Yeah. All right.
Let's do the lyrics. That's why I wanted to cover this one. And,
Okay.
Yeah, I'll read them and then.
They're long. You want to split them?
I can do it. I can do it, Clifton.
Muscle through.
All right. Some people speak of meditation and the clearing of the mind, reaching deep within yourself for the peace that you will find. The search within your own heart for that tranquility, it can be such a downfall when you learn it's not reality. I'd say it's a safe assumption that we all want to believe in ourselves, but then we look at human nature. Does the bad outweigh the good in these modern virtues? Well, it's a safe assumption that we need something more. No one wants to be a villain, or at least not right away. But it's a role we can grow into, a game that we all sometimes play. All diseases have their symptoms, and some get worse as time goes by. We've all been sick for a few thousand years. And still, we wonder why our heroes turn to villains, and we see our goodness fade into dust. When you see the correlation of our past and present states, it's no wonder that it's a safe assumption that we need something more. I'd say it's a safe assumption that we all want to believe in ourselves, but then we look at human nature. Does the bad outweigh the good in these modern virtues? Well, it's a safe assumption. I think it's a safe assumption. I'd say it's a safe assumption that we need something more. So both The Finer Side, the song we just did about TV, and Safe Assumption, they really hammer home this idea that we aren't enough on our own.
Yep.
Right? And on The Finer Side, it's TV that won't reach the deeper side of us. And on Safe Assumption, we're supposed to assume that humans are evil and we can't trust ourselves. And first of all, we've talked a lot about the fallacy of original sin on this show and how it fucks you up on so many levels. So I'm not going to spend as much time on that right now, but I'm happy to go back to it. But I want to talk about something else. What I really want to talk about in both these songs is this, like, the arrogance that is displayed. And this is another theme that we see in evangelical Christianity. These people that spend time watching TV or meditating or trying to spend any time finding peace of mind, they just don't get it. God is the only source for any of this. And so if you're not spending your time on him, you are wasting it. Right? And there seemed to be this incredible ability of Christians to look down upon things people spend their time pursuing. Things that, mind you, Christians knew nothing about, but were just judgmental about it. Like looking down on intellectuals, people who are really into certain hobbies, people that are trying to improve themselves, because the most important thing was being into God. And by the way, how did you do that? By being at church all the time and giving your money to God and everything else, which just furthers control. But yeah, these two songs really made me think back to that idea that I remember having, and I remember felt like that was I don't know if it was always an explicit message, but it was definitely a message we got of like just kind of looking down your nose at people and being like, well, they don't really get the truth.
It's kind of like the I don't actually own a TV people.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, shut the fuck up.
But it is gatekeeping. It's like gatekeeping life in a certain way. You know?
Yeah.
That
And it was just like, and it was always people who actually like knew nothing about it, but were like looking down their nose at people who were doing these things.
Look, you're just out there and you feel empty and you don't know what to do with your life. Well, you know what I've done? I filled it up with so much shit you can't believe. And it just keeps me completely occupied. And when it's not completely occupied with that, I'm worried if I'm going to hell.
Yep. Yeah. And part of me wonders if some of this attitude has kind of spilled over into today of like people being so put off with, just to get into politics for a second, so put off with like liberal elites and stuff and this idea of wanting to own the libs, because I guess they feel for so long that people have done these other things that they don't think are appropriate and wasting their time doing all this weird stuff. And so there's a pushback.
They've definitely been told that that's what's going on.
Yeah. But anyway, these two songs just really took me back to like, oh, wow. Yeah. That feeling of like, man, we're better than other people. That guy's reading a book, but I'm reading Mere Christianity by C.S. Lewis because, I want to focus on important stuff.
Purifying my soul.
Mm-hmm. Yeah. By the way, I wish I had spent more time meditating and doing shit like that back in the day. I think I'd be much better now, but
Interesting. Yeah. Yeah. I think my biggest beef with the song was the original sin stuff, but then we look at human nature and does the bad outweigh the good? And once again, it's just, Jesus, there's no one as obsessed with this kind of shit as Christians, there's no non-Christians out there being like, I don't know, I look at my nature and I'm just like, am I capable of anything good? Because we're just people and we're like, do some stupid shit, do some great shit, try to err on the great shit side.
Yeah. Right. And when I do something dumb, I'm not going to dwell on it. I'm just be like, well, that was dumb. I'm not going to do that again. Right. Rather than like flagellate myself because of it. Yeah.
And look, I have an anxiety disorder. And so, yeah, sometimes I do sit around thinking to myself, oh, have I hurt someone in a way that can never be undone? And I hate myself for that. But that's just that's not this, right?
Yeah.
That's a different thing.
Yeah. This shit's not helpful at all. I think original sin, as I've said before, is actually one of the most damaging things that we grew up believing, because it just kind of infects so much stuff.
Everything. Literally everything.
But yeah. So anyway, here we are.
Let's move on to track number 6, No Conversation.
And hold on to your hat, folks. Things are about to get crazy. Listen to this guitar that is going to start the song. Clifton, you were moving your head. What do you think?
Down. I mean, it's literally just blues disguised as grunge.
Yeah. Okay.
It's weird. Yeah.
This song's fine. It kind of has a double chorus, which I thought was interesting.
Well, I think there is a pre-chorus on this one.
Okay, so maybe the pre-chorus is what I'm thinking of, is the first part of the chorus. But yeah, it almost has gang vocals on the chorus, by the way, which is kind of unique.
Is this where we're going to get back to talking about Newsboys and
we
audio
can?
adrenaline?
Yeah, we can. All throughout. Let's do it.
All right, let's play this shit.
I was brought up in the school of etiquette. There are things you shouldn't say and some things you should forget. A taboo subject, definite faux pas. You don't bring these up as a rule of the law. But I'm running hard, I'm running fast about these truths that we've ignored. Some things that can't dismiss. Religion, politics, and money are things that we do not talk about. God is here to stay. One government's for fate and cash goes quick. That's no conversation piece. We don't talk about it. No conversation. We don't talk about it. No conversation piece. We don't talk about it. No conversation. We don't talk about it. Conversation piece to be polite.
Yeah, so you thought the chorus was over, but no, you were not ready for the gang vocal. We don't talk about it.
We don't talk about it. Sex, drugs, and rock and roll.
I mean, I think, how old was I when I got this? I guess 14. 14-year-old Jay was probably into this a little bit.
Yeah, of course, 14-year-old cousin would have been into this too. It sounds literally like audio adrenaline.
Yeah. So I am surprised these guys were not bigger. I'm wondering if it's a label thing. It
could have been a label thing, yeah. But I guess what's audio adrenaline, Forefront?
I think they were on Forefront. Yeah. I don't know. These guys just never got pushed.
Yeah.
Like those.
Yeah, I don't know. But it's just, even then, I feel like they're a year behind Audio
Okay.
Adrenaline, you know?
Okay.
Yeah. And I went and listened to their other albums, and they are very chameleon, you know,
Yeah.
doing what the kids want to hear kind of thing, but a year or two too late.
Yeah.
Their album Snappy, which I recognize the cover of from the shelves of music stores, has ska songs on it with horns.
And they have one song on that you may have heard, right? That song, I'm So Happy.
Yeah. The worst song ever.
Happy feeling. Yeah. Yeah, I don't know. I mean,
Yeah.
I felt like they could have been a little bigger. Maybe it was the label thing. They were not on the same labels as those guys and didn't maybe
Also,
get the
like,
same promotion, same tours.
This is the big song that sounds like cool kids are going to like, but then the subject is, let's read the lyrics here so we can talk about what the subject is. I was brought up in the school of etiquette. There are things you shouldn't say and some things you should forget. A taboo subject, a definite faux pas. You don't bring these up as a rule of law. But I'm learning hard, I'm learning fast about these truths that we've ignored. Some things you can't dismiss. Religion, politics, and money are things we do not talk about. God is here to stay while governments will fade. And cash goes quick. But that's no conversation piece. We don't talk about it. No conversation. We don't talk about no conversation piece. To be polite is a genuine concern. But if we never talk, then how are we to learn? There's so much writing on what we need to know. And if we're not informed, then will we ever grow? To see the truth that God has laid before us, let's talk about it. Some things you can't dismiss, religion, politics, and money, are things that we don't talk about. God is here to stay, while governments will fade and cash goes quick. But that's no conversation piece.
So, if the listener can't tell, this is kind of about like, you're not supposed to talk about God in conversation, but these guys are like, it's just too important not to. We gotta bring it up. Gotta make sure we're telling people about Jesus.
I do find this song interesting and curious at the same time. Obviously, definitely, there's, we don't talk about religion and politics, in proper company kind of thing. I don't know how far back those kind of taboos go. I would assume just like probably mid-century, like maybe the 40s at the earliest of last century. What do you think?
Yeah, a ways, but yeah, maybe 30s, 40s, 50s, something like that, right?
Yeah. But I also think that a lot of the reason that America was able to live on this kind of false ideal that we all share common ground is that we didn't talk about these things. And then when we started talking about them, we're like, you know what? I do hate all you motherfuckers.
Fair. Yeah. I mean, there is nothing worse than being with somebody who's trying to force God into a conversation.
Oh my
right?
God. Yes.
Yeah.
Yeah. Especially when you like, if you just don't want to go there right now because you're just like, oh my God, we're going to have to do this, but also when you're like, I don't need to know who your God is, like, I remember I used to study in the student center at A&M. On the weekends, I would it was a nice place with decent lighting and a decent atmosphere, and I would just go there and read all the multiple books I had to read for all my classes,
Yeah.
And like without fail, once an evening, someone would come up to me to share the gospel of Jesus Christ.
Well, not to you, but I was that person sometimes. I remember doing weekly, like an evangelism club or something where we walked around campus, and I apologize if any of you are out there that we spoke to. I am so sorry. And like witnessed to people and tried to share the gospel. Jesus Christ. Oh my God. And it was always so awkward too. Trying to force it in. Because here's the thing. I don't think any person, if you know them, and like you're actually talking about something personal in your life and your belief in God, I don't think they have a problem with it. Clifton and I do not have a problem with someone we know well that is talking about their personal life. And if they happen to have faith and are talking about that with us, that doesn't bother me. But that's not what we're talking about here. We're talking about just like shoving it in, you know, just saying, hey, this is too important to not share with you and going for it.
Also, this is at Texas A&M. We're like the most conservative Christian university. I mean, it's a public university. For being a public university, it's probably one of the most conservative Christian universities in the nation. I know. Who do you think you're talking to?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. Clifton is a white dude sitting in the thing, like probably safe. It's.
But you know, I do support them on their let's break down these artificial walls of artificial etiquette. You know.
Yeah.
Because I do think like thinking that this is etiquette is bullshit. Where like etiquette should be taking care of people. You know.
Yeah.
This isn't taking care of people. This is just not making people uncomfortable.
That is a good point.
Yeah.
That is true.
So as far as that goes, I'm on board with this song.
Okay. All right. We don't talk about it.
Not a conversation piece.
I kept thinking he was saying conversation please until I read
He does at some point. Yeah.
Okay.
When I typed out the lyrics originally, I found somewhere towards the end of the song, he says something like, please, yeah.
Please.
All right, we're going to do track 8, I believe.
Yeah, so this song was recorded with Rich Mullins.
Oh.
We have never talked about Rich Mullins on this podcast. I'll be honest, I don't know a ton about Rich Mullins. I mean, I think in some ways he was well known in Christian circles because I think in some ways he actually lived like a Christian.
Yeah.
Like he actually took it seriously, which a lot didn't. And so that seemed to really be impactful upon people. I think he even kind of switched to even maybe Catholicism before he died. One reason he was, I think, became, I don't want to say more well-known, but was well-known as he died in a car accident in 1997. And I remember that being a big thing in the Christian, in kind of the Christian world. So, but this was recorded in 94, like we said. And I did listen to an episode of Ragamuffin Archive, episode 5, a kind of podcast radio show thing about Rich Mullins. And they had an interview with one of the guys from Hokus Pick. And he said that this song originated when they were in Abilene, Texas, and they were messing around with the guitar and they were saying, "Oh, Abilene, Abilene, Abilene." And they liked it. They kind of liked that hook. And so they changed it to "I Believe." And then wrote out the rest of the lyrics. This is very much like a worshipy, churchy sounding song. Mm-hmm. It is also by far the most played song off this album on Spotify. And like I said, you may have heard some sandal wearing asshole play this at a church camp or something. But anyway, it's fine. I just wanted to kind of cover it because it's probably the most well known off this. It also has Rich Mullins singing the second verse and kind of doing a duet in it. It is definitely not my top pick off the album, but you know.
Should we go straight to verse 2?
We can, yeah, because you're going to hear this. The style of the song is just acoustic guitar.
Now I am not haunted by the sins of my past, for the chains have been broken, and I'm free at last, just to live in the grace of my God, in liberty free. So look into the story, and then you will see why the cross that I'm wearing means something to me. It's for love, the love of the Father, it's given to us. Oh, won't you sing out? I believe, I believe, I believe, I believe.
has a real like Celtic feel to it.
Yeah, that
don't
last part
hear-
you played is the hammered dulcimer, and
Yeah.
Rich Mullins is playing that as well in the song. It's fine. It's definitely, I'm surprised it actually wasn't played more in churches as like a worship song. I mean, it seems like a type of song, like I said, you could sing along to it like a church camp or something. Lyrically, we can read them in a second, but this is just kind of like Christian creed or something. This is what I believe in.
Yeah.
You know?
Let's read them. Go ahead.
My turn, right?
Yep.
What other reason would I need to give? Because I've found the reason why I want to live. It's for him who gave his own life that I might find peace. So I sing for joy as I sing this song, because freedom was foreign when I lived in the wrong, but it's here now, and I sing for the joy that it brings. And the chorus is, oh, I believe, I believe, I believe in God's only Son. I'm not haunted by the sins of my past, for the chains have been broken, and now I'm free at last, just to live in the grace of my God, in liberty, free. So look into the story, and then you will see why the cross that I'm wearing means something to me. It's for love, the love of the Father that's given to us. Oh, won't you sing? And then back to the chorus.
Listening to this song, and honestly a lot of the album, I kept feeling like... I'm only recently seeing this. Like a lot of the verbiage around Christianity, especially like the Wild at Heart type stuff, you know, I think specifically comes from a because of the capitalist culture that we live in that doesn't fulfill us, you know, and separates us from the fruits of our labors, you know. I feel like a lot of the reasons for Jesus in our day and age are because of capitalism. He's going to fill the void left there by capitalism, you know, and not just the consumerism part side of capitalism, more the lack of purpose, lack of, you know, being separated from the fruits of your labor kind of thing.
Yeah, yeah.
And working on things that truly matter. You know, there's far too many people doing customer service for shit that doesn't matter, you know, in the world, or building shit that doesn't matter, you know, rather than doing things that actually matter to your community, that connects you to your community and gives you joy in what you do, you know. And I don't know, it just makes me curious, like how subtly different, you know, Christianity was, like at least the evangelical language around Christianity was before capitalism, you know?
Yeah.
That's all I got.
Yeah, I don't have much on this one other than I just felt like we had to cover it since it was kind of the bigger, even though I know it wasn't officially the single, this kind of became the song that everybody remembered.
All right. Obligation kept.
It's good. But we are going to do one that Clifton wanted to do.
Yeah.
We're finishing with Love Stuff, and y'all hold on to your hats. Again, this one's going to get a little crazy with the electric guitar.
Watch out, because there is rock and or rolling ahead. I feel like this is their ZZ Top song.
ZZ Top, that's a good one. I was trying to think what I was going to call this, but yeah, that's right. Okay.
It's a pretty stupid song, but I guess let's skip to the chorus here so that people can hear it. I don't know, like, was stuff like this put on an album because these guys themselves like ZZ Top, or was it put there so that if you and I were listening to it and our dads came in, we can be like, no, like, listen to this?
That's a great question. I will say that Young Jay thought this song was fun because it kind of, I mean, we'll get to lyrics in a second, but it kind of captured a lot of the feelings you have when you're awkward and 14 and, you know.
That's fair.
Don't really know how to do this love stuff.
That's fair. Yeah, I like that. Okay.
Yeah.
Let's listen. This is the one not horrible part of the song. This is the musical part of the song.
School, maybe get a master's or a bachelor's degree in love. You know I'd flunk. And if you asked me to swim the deepest ocean for ya, maybe the Atlantic or the Pacific, I know I'd be sunk. So I'm gonna go away to some distant country where there's only men and there's no women. We wear robes and sing prayers with beanies on our heads. I'm gonna become a monk.
And they changed it up by doing a whispery chorus there.
Yeah, the song goes on too long at this point.
Yep.
But you're right. That part was fun.
They had the lo-fi vocals thing again, which they really heavily lean on for this song.
But it was kind of, the lyrics were kind of funny. I will say, as you were playing that, I was like, well, I don't think Audio Adrenaline or Newsboys were ever really actually this funny and stuff.
True. That is true. You're right.
So,
and we had a harmonica solo.
Clifton was, I'm going to say something a little bit crazy. Was Hokus Pick just a little too sophisticated for youth groups?
I think so. Yeah. Too buttoned up. They're not crazy enough. That's what I'm saying. They're too buttoned up and they're too professional, so they're not taking those wild swings like Newsboys or Audio Adrenaline are, who are worse at what they do, but those worse things lead them to take crazy swings sometimes because they just stumble upon things.
Well, and also, though, I feel like Hokus Pick has a little bit better sense of humor on stuff, right?
True.
So it's like some stuff they're just people aren't getting, you know?
Yeah. Their sense of humor on this song is so good that at the end they have to tell you that they're joking.
Just kidding.
Come on, Ma.
Which, I mean, again, kind of fun.
All right.
Are you gonna read these lyrics first?
I'll read these stupid lyrics. I hate this love stuff. It drives me up the wall. I hate this love stuff. No, I don't like it at all. It makes me feel so stupid. There was a time when my life was oh so simple, when hanging out with only the guys was the best it could get. Then I find myself chasing a brunette. Jesus Christ. I hate this love stuff. It treats me so unkind. I hate this love stuff. It's robbing me blind. Then she catches my eye, and I change my mind. You know I'm always aching, trying to make you my own. I finally get up the nerve, and I pick up the phone, but all that she gives me is a dial tone. I hate this love stuff. I don't know what I'm doing. I hate this love stuff. It's going to bring me to my ruin, and I don't know why I keep pursuing. If love were a subject in school, maybe I'd get a master's or a bachelor's degree in love. You know I'd flunk. And if you asked me to swim the deepest oceans for you, maybe the Atlantic or the Pacific, I know I'd be sunk. So I'm going to go away, some distant country where there's only men and there's no women, and we wear robes and we sing prayers with beanies on our heads, and I'm going to become a monk.
So again, when I was 14, this was fun. I could relate to the lyrics. It's a bit different when I imagine mid-20s men singing it, but
it's a lot more problematic. Yeah.
Yeah. But again, it was fun. It felt a little less buttoned up than a lot of the church stuff we were listening to, and it was a little edgy in its own way. So,
do we need to get into the misogyny of the song?
I mean, sure.
Trying to make you my own, pursuing, things like this.
Clifton,
it's
men
very
are the
one-sided.
pursuers in relationships, Clifton.
Yeah, it's very.
That's the way God made it.
Yeah, it's very like there's only one side that has any agency in this action here.
Well, yeah, because it's just like Christ and his bride. Duh.
All right.
I know.
Go home. That's it. We did all the songs.
We did it. See, it wasn't that long, Clifton. We did it.
Okay. Cool.
And I will say right now, there are some groups we've done, and that if you wanted to do another album by them, like, they would rank much lower than doing another Hokus Pick album for me. I'm not saying this is my favorite and I love this, but I'm not saying it's definitely not the worst we've done.
Yeah. Well, Jay, what do you think about the cover?
I mean, it's very of the era. It's got just the four guys' heads, like, kind of on top of each other, sort of.
Yeah.
One dude, I swear to God, does look like Pauly Shore to me.
He does. But it is a little goofy looking. It's not as bad as For Him, but it's not.
It's not amazing. No,
Yeah.
it's fine.
Yeah.
For the amount of money they spent making this album, they could have had a better cover for sure.
True. That is true. The inside is very hard to read at times.
Yeah.
Especially like the credit parts, They do have kind of a theme here of they call everyone like Russ Smith is Shirley Smith's son, because they're all brothers from different mothers.
Right.
Yeah.
I will say I counted the additional musicians on this album. There are 10. So, it was also recorded in 4 different studios.
Jesus. Why?
Yeah. So this one, they had some time and definitely some money behind it.
You couldn't tell. The lyrics are printed in full, and there's way more lyrics than you think there should be for these songs. Yeah.
But again, they were written, the credits are to the dudes in the band. I think that occasionally they'll have one other guy in the credits for the lyrics, but producer or something. But they did write their songs. There are some thank yous to a few things that people recognize. I noticed they thank Dakota Motor Company, Code of Ethics, The Prayer Chain,
CCM Magazine.
Yeah, there we go. See?
Steve Taylor.
Yeah. Oh, and DC Talk.
Mm-hmm.
So
Code of Ethics.
I know, man. Code of Ethics. We haven't done Code of Ethics.
Them.
Yeah, we got to do Code of Ethics. Did you like Code of Ethics?
I had one thing from them.
I think I had one tape of theirs too. We'll have to.
Yeah, it was a tape, exactly. Yeah.
Oh, there we go. I have to dig deep. Yeah, packaging is fine, and especially for the time period. I feel like it kind of is trying to look like that safe alternative type stuff.
Yes. Youth group approved alternative, yes.
Yeah.
Although there is some weird foot smut on the back.
Yeah, and one dude has a toe ring, whoever's got that on, so that, that seems pretty edgy.
Yeah, a little freaky deaky, you know what I'm saying? Yeah. There's actually 2 separate pictures of foot stuff. There's the foot thing, there's the Bigfoot thing, and then there's also a picture of all the guys with their feet up, and one of them is not wearing shoes.
Man, they're into feet, dude.
They are. Into some feet.
Yep.
Okay. Well, Jay, overall, what'd you think?
I mean, like I said, in some ways it was better than I thought, just because I had pretty low expectations going in.
Yeah.
It did make me wonder why they didn't catch on nearly as much. Newsboys, Audio Journal, and those things we talked about. Lyrically, I will say it could be worse. I don't like what was the name of that song? The song that was talking about, original sin, safe assumption. I don't love that. I don't really love the TV one, but the Finer Side before that. But the lyrics are not nearly as preachy as some have been.
Oh, yeah. No, I agree. Yeah.
Could be worse.
As offensive as the lyrics are in their assumptions a lot of time, it is very still self-reflective kind of things. It's not.
Yeah.
It's not like, look at you piece of shit, except for that one gatekeeping song.
Yeah. Yeah. So, it's fine. They're not really my thing. They weren't my favorite band, but,
Okay.
All good.
And we've touched on, we've sated my curiosity about who the fuck Hokus Pick is,
Now you know.
I'll never wonder that again.
So you saw, because they had albums out all through the 90s, so you saw this on the shelves and we're always like, who's that band? But never
listened to them.
Well, now you know.
Not. Yeah. Well, all right, Jay, do you know where these guys are now?
I do, Clifton.
Cool.
So after this album, Hokus Pick released Booka Boom in 1995, Snappy in 1997, and Super Duper in 1999. And they also had a record of B-sides that came out in 1997. And Super Duper was their final album in 99. And although they did get back together to host and play for the Canadian Covenant Music Awards in 2008, they also, though, got back together last fall in 2024 for a show in Langley, BC, which is kind of, I don't know if I'd say it's a suburb of Vancouver, but it's not too far away. And you can see some footage of the show and connect with other Hokus Pick fans at the Facebook group Hokus Pick Fans Unite. We'll share a link to it. And these days, Dave Strilchuk works as a financial advisor in the Vancouver area. Russ Smith is the associate pastor at a church in the area. Rick Colhoun works as a sound designer for theater companies in the Vancouver area. And finally, Matt Perot owns and runs a t-shirt printing and embroidery shop.
Okay, cool.
Yeah. I don't think they did other music after this. I couldn't tell, but...
didn't look like it, no.
No.
All right, Jay, you have an award for this album?
No, but you said you did.
I didn't say I did. I said I could come up with one. All right, I guess I have one. I'm going to give this the... This is hard to say, but the soulless version of the Newsboys Award, which I feel bad saying because the Newsboys are pieces of shit, and I don't feel like these guys are, but man, the album just doesn't come off well. That's it. Doesn't come off well.
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if I totally agree, Clifton, but I'll let it go. I'll let it go.
All right.
Yeah.
Cool. All right, Jay, what are we doing for our next episode?
We are doing Puller's debut album, Sugarless, from 1996.
Yeah. Did you like this album, Jay?
I did. I had that one. In fact, I don't think I had any other Puller albums, but I had that one.
I think the second one kind of came out a little too late for both of us. Yeah. I enjoyed this album. It took me a couple of years, not a couple of years, probably a year after I found it to really get into it,
Yeah.
Because it wasn't as kind of accessible and poppy as a lot of stuff I was listening to. But eventually when I did get into it, I really fell in love with it, yeah.
Nice.
All right, I'm looking forward to that.
Thank you for joining us for another episode of Your Music Saved Us.
If you enjoyed your time with us, please leave us a review or share this episode. Visit patreon.com/YMSU to contribute and get extended episodes. Visit our website, yourmusicsavedus.com, to find out all the ways to listen. We're on Instagram, YouTube, and Facebook. I almost said youth group. Join our Facebook group or follow us to keep up with the latest or interact with us. Send complaints and disagreements to yourmusicsavedus@gmail.com.
The music in this episode is the work of Hokus Pick and is used with apologies, not permission. if you want to find more on the band, you actually can go to hokuspick.com, although all that is there is a photo of the band right now, but maybe they will have something back up.
Yeah.
So,
Or that Facebook group.
Yeah, or definitely check out the Facebook group, which we'll have a link to.
Cool. Thanks, everyone.
Bye, y'all.